Welcome back to the Sports Joc College Football Preview Show. We'll be here all season. We're covering everything SEC football, and you couldn't have two happier football fans than me and my man Han Vance. BigHarryBlog.com. We're happy that football season is here.
Wayne and I are texting each other in the off season like, 4 more months, dude. It's ridiculous. We love it.
It should be an exciting season. Lots of storylines going into the season. Will Bama repeat as champions? If they do, they would be the first college team to three-peat as national champions.
Army did it back in the 40s. Army did it before any of the big polls and everything were around, so most people don't really, quote-unquote, count that.
Well, most people in the 40s aren't even here anymore, but, yeah, they're back in the 40s.
I think Army was fired up about winning World War II, and they just went ahead and won some championships. Early 40s was Georgia dominated in the early 40s, by the way, before all the drafting and the big war and all that.
Yeah, so the SEC is hot, as I said earlier, between the Heisman Trophy winner, Johnny Manziel, Bama three-peating,
the
Defensive Player of the Year, Jadeveon Clowney.
Right.
Trying to win a Heisman as a defensive player. We have new coaches, Butch Jones.
Comes over from Cincy to Tennessee.
Tennessee. Our man Gus Malzahn down at Auburn.
He's back on the plains.
Back, giving me hope. You see the T-shirt. Learn to love it.
I know the shirt came back out of the closet. Wayne had buried that shirt deep beneath his Superman shirt.
When you're 3-9, you go hide somewhere.
I understand.
But
actually, I don't.
This weekend, the biggest game probably that I have seen on tap, Georgia. Based on who you ask, top 5 team. Clemson, based on who you asked, top 10 team, going head to head.
It's a big one.
It's just a big game, and it's really somebody is going to kind of fall out the national championship picture right off the jump. It's going to be, you're going to have no. Well, at that point, you have no room for error.
You really don't.
It's like, okay, I got my loss. Now I got 12 more weeks
to win out
or
I'm
done.
Yeah. And Georgia has actually done better season-wise when we've lost an early game. Clemson and Georgia are each other's nearest geographic rival, by the way. I've told you this on before. Georgia Tech is farther from Athens than Clemson is. These schools are right there. They've mirrored each other. They're historic old rivals getting back at it. Clemson is loaded on offense. I mean, they're explosive with Sammy Watkins, Taj Boyd, who's a legit Heisman candidate.
They were 11-2 last year.
Beat LSU in the bowl, which was a big, big win for them because the SEC has embarrassed the ACC regionally and nationally. It's just point-blank true. At the end of the year, every year, there's a week where Tech plays Georgia, Clemson plays South Carolina, and Florida plays Florida State. And almost every year, the SEC goes 3-0. Usually, if any team wins, it's Florida State. South Carolina whooped up on Clemson, and Clemson hadn't beaten an SEC team in a while. Not a legit one. They might have played someone small and beaten them, but they hadn't won a big SEC game in a while. And beating LSU in that bowl, I think, was big for their confidence coming into this Georgia game.
Well, going into this game, both teams have senior quarterbacks. Taj Boyd for Clemson, Aaron Murray for Georgia. Both teams loaded on offense.
Definitely.
Last year, Clemson averaged around 42 points a game.
And Georgia led all of football in yardage per play. Every play, they got 7.08 yards.
And when you look at
7.09.
You look at these teams, they have explosive skill players.
Definitely. On
offense. No better running back than Todd Gurley for Georgia. You pull him out, you put Keith Marshall in, it gets even faster. A little smaller, but faster.
He's not very small, but he's fast.
On Clemson's side, wide receiver Sammy Watkins could be the most explosive player in college football.
Yeah, 2 years ago, he was the best receiver in college as a true freshman. Last year, he had some weed issues, some academic issues, some behavioral issues, and actually was the second leading receiver on Clemson. That first guy's gone. Their leading rusher, who was a 1,000-yard rusher, is gone. So they do have a little less momentum offensively. They're playing at home in Death Valley, though. It's a night game. Last time Georgia was up there, Clemson was favored and Georgia won 30-0.
Right.
That ain't going to happen this year.
And when I look at this game, I think the two offenses kind of wash each other out.
I think that's true.
And so it puts the onus on the defensive side. Now, Georgia last year, there was no team in the country with better personnel level. When you have Alec Ogletree, you have Jarvis Jones,
Rambo.
What was the D tackle's name?
John Jenkins.
John Jenkins went to the
Backed
Saints.
up by Geathers, who also went to pro, who had like 50 brothers and cousins in the NFL.
So you're talking about Georgia put between the first and second round like 5-6 defensive players in the NFL.
We weren't deep though. We played the starters too much. That was the one problem. And when I look around the SEC, South Carolina, Alabama, LSU, they're all playing a lot of guys. And our guys were almost too good, if you know what I mean. Like they were so good that you were afraid to take them out of the game because they were just about to make that sack, just about to make that interception. And I saw them get tired, especially in that Bama game with a big running attack. I don't think Clemson's going to run the ball that much. I think they're going to want to run it. We're going to be pretty stout up front still at Georgia. We've got the athletes. We're going to be subbing guys, which I think is going to benefit us there. Can our secondary hold up against Taj Boyd and Sammy Watkins? I'm going to bet no.
I'm going to bet no on that, too. I was going to go no. When I look at this, it's not that the Clemson defense was so stellar, but I do like that it's mainly seniors and juniors back. So that lets you know they've been around the program. They're not going to beat themselves as much as counting on freshmen and sophomores. And I just think that when you look at this game, you give just a little edge. Now you never can count Todd Grantham out.
He's a good defensive
He's a good
coach.
defensive coordinator, and as you're saying, Georgia has been getting the recruits
definitely
to play
especially
defense.
at linebacker, which our linebacker defensive ends are kind of tweeners that do both. We have a lot of those guys who've been waiting their turn. A lot of them were the number 1 or 3 pick in the recruit in the country when they came out, or 5, and then now they're finally going to get some PT. Right. I think we're going to be a little better in the defensive front than people think at Georgia this year.
But the thing that Georgia has that helps when you don't have a strong defense is I'm able to run the ball.
That's what we need to do.
And eat the clock. If I can keep my offense. Not that you don't want to score fast, but you would like to see in the course of the game. You like to go on an 8-minute drive.
Correct.
You like to go on another 6-7 minute drive because now that puts an explosive offense like Clemson has on the sideline.
Correct.
But it also lets your young players always hit the field fresh.
Which is key.
It is
key, especially when you're talking about defensive backs getting tired, getting juked out like they're going to be, like I used to do them. Sammy's going to be juking these guys. We're going to have a guy comparable with him and Damian Swann to cover him. But the other receivers at Clemson, all the guys that get in space, it's going to be problematic for Georgia in this game. I think Georgia's best bet is going to be to run the ball.
Yes.
And we have that senior quarterback. We want to get those yards. Murray has historically struggled in a game like this. This is the kind of game Murray's thrown a couple interceptions, not looked too good because he tries too hard.
Well, the thing about running the ball also, it's the first game of the year.
Correct.
And the thing you want to do is set the tempo of how you're going to see us, and you want to give the quarterback a little. Even though Aaron Murray is a senior,
and he's good,
and he's great, picked over Johnny Manziel to be preseason All SEC.
He's going to set every major record in SEC passing this year.
But when you go back and you can hand the ball off to the guys that you have in the backfield,
we need to run.
It's a great game to be like, you know what, to go to your team. And I've played in games like this where the coach just comes in there and he lets you know. He comes in the offensive meeting room. He tells the offensive coordinator what we're going to be doing, and this is how we're going to beat. Sometimes you have to strategize to win, which
I agree. I think Rick should say, Bobo, go back to your old self and let's run it.
Right.
Wayne, we're not leaving a lot of time for them other dogs and maroon pups. Miss State and Okie State are going at it. Oklahoma State didn't have a great year last year. 2 years ago, they were excellent. This game is played out in Houston, my part-time hometown, when my folks split up, and I was in Louisiana playing football.
Right.
Nice stadium there, nice town, big old city. A lot of Okie State people are going to be there. A lot of bell ringing is going to be going on, too, from Starkville. Them Mississippi State, they fell off the map last year, Wayne.
I was just about to bring up, at one point, we're like 8-0. Well, I think they were 7-0.
And went 8-5.
And then they went 8-5. Yeah,
that's not good.
They had caught all the hype they needed. They ran into
I think Bama. Killed them, and then they never, showed up again. And actually, Bama got too much credit for that win, because at the time no one thought Mississippi State wasn't going to win any more games. Went out losing a bowl to Northwestern, by the way, which was Northwestern's first bowl win in forever. Okie State, a lot of people are on this bandwagon, Gundy's bandwagon, primarily because the Big 12 doesn't have a dominant team, doesn't have a dominant program with a lot of people coming back. Oklahoma doesn't look good. Texas doesn't look good. I'm picking TCU in the Big 12. This is going to be an interesting game. We're saving our pick, but
in which Tyler Russell is going to show up.
Correct. Second half of the season.
I think it'll be. Yeah, I think that's their whole season. I see them still 8-5, right in that same, maybe 7. Right in there, middle of the road. Make a bowl.
Yeah.
But it will be hinged whether they're 9-4 or 7-6 will be totally based on can senior quarterback Tyler Russell perform like he shows you at times.
When Oklahoma State's good, they get a lot of turnovers. They take the ball away a lot. 2 years ago, they led the country in it. If they take it away, Miss State could be in trouble.
All right. Well, we'll be back with more of the Sports Joc College Football Preview Show. As I said earlier, we'll be airing on Fridays, 9 a.m. This week, we will be starting on Wednesday. We'll be back with more of the show right after this.